All right, y'all. So Diddy recently released this pathetic video response in which he didn't even say Cassie's name or anything. Like, didn't even apologize to her directly, much less the many, many other victims that I'm sure are out there. I mean, at this point, no sorry video could make up for decades of alleged abuses. But at the very least, you would think that he would fake apologize directly. Okay, so girl, it starts out he moping in this video like we supposed to be moved or something. Like, as soon as the video starts, I'm waiting for Sky Daddy to be mentioned. Y'all already know. I was like, I wonder how many seconds into this video until he starts waving that Santa Claus around. Anyway, in the video, he says, it's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was effed up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. Now, we can stop. Let's stop here. It's funny how he makes it seem here like this was a one-off thing. It's like, oh, well, I don't usually do these kinds of things, but I hit rock bottom. I was effed up. Like, no, that was footage that you allegedly paid 50 stacks to have repressed and it was all the way back in 2016. It just makes me wonder what kind of footage from 2023 or 2021, 2024 exists. Like, what kind of things have not been recorded? So many abusers talk like their violence and torment was just one, like, unfortunate one-off occurrence or, episode, instead of it being their entire way of life, which is like what it is in a lot of these cases, right? It wasn't just this one moment. No, this is how you like consistently operated going through life, He said, I make no excuses. My behavior in that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for the actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went out, sought professional help. I'm just like, what professional help? You need a refund, babes. I hope you kept the receipt on that. You need a refund. You said, I've been going to therapy, been going to rehab. You need to collect your dollars, get a refund, and then pay the victims that you didn't made. You need a refund and then use that coin to pay out to the victims. And then here comes the kicker. He said, had to ask God for his mercy and grace. And I was like, there it is. There it is. And I'm going to come back to this in a minute. I was wondering when that malleable fairy tale was going to show up, and it certainly did. He said he gonna ask God for his mercy and grace. Now, let me tell you something. If this man avoids prison, he gonna sing and dance to a couple gospel hymns, go appear in front of one of these holy hustlers on TV or something while y'all pass that offering plate around to fatten their bank accounts. He gonna do a little dance with a tambourine, release a gospel song, and be right back in some of y'all's good graces. I'm gonna come back to this in a second, though, like I said. Anyway, he said, I'm so sorry, but I'm committed to being a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry. And it's just like, no, bro, y'all let money convince you that you can build a whole new reality for yourself where you can be as torturous and as abusive as you want to whoever you want. And the terrible thing about it is that if you have enough money and influence, you can do that to a certain extent. You can construct this other reality that you can live in, pay cops, pay judges, establish networks and organizations. Like, you could establish this other reality. Some people live their whole lives like that and they never get caught. However, others like you definitely do, sir. Now, you can't be asking or even talking about forgiveness. Like you said, you were not asking for forgiveness, but we can't even be talking about, don't even bring up the word forgiveness when there is no talk of atonement for the victims being made at all. Like, it's just, we ain't talk about that. All this moping at the end of the video. I mean, look at this moping, girl. Look at just Eeyore, all this moping. And yet in December, literally just a few weeks ago, this was you on Instagram. Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I've sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and like I say, sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do anything. Like, girl, please. And now y'all already know I always got time to drag religion. Apparently Kelly Price responded to Diddy's video with this and it kind of went viral. And the reason I'm singling this out is because I think it represents a large percentage of people in some of those cultish religious spaces, right? It represents a lot of the Black community who be in these spaces, right? Because already, y'all are opening up space for him. She's over here talking about, do you know who Sky Daddy is? Lean not on your own understanding. I know what you're capable of being when you're at your best despite the seductions of this industry. Just corny, churchy shit, right? And the reason why it's so corny, so many reasons, but y'all don't ever treat the victims like this. I remember growing up in church and seeing how y'all treated teen girls who had children out of wedlock or who versus the abusers, the you know what I mean? I see how y'all elevate them on these platforms and it's so hard for these victims to even be believed in the first place. Y'all keep abusers in your pulpits and in your leadership and then try to silence their victims because, you can't touch Sky Daddy's anointed. If it's a crown, one thing about it, if it's a crown, there's a certain segment of the Black community that's always going to worship it. And by a crown, I mean like leadership, the idea of leadership, a position, white supremacy, Biden, the position of the president, decorum. If it's a crown, respectability, if it's a respected position, you can't critique it. Just like Sky Daddy. And so now you open up your spaces to these monsters. And so guess what they're going to come into your communities and do? Guess what they're going to come into your churches and do? Y'all giving them access to even more victims. And can you imagine what personalities like Diddy's would do to like the church-going women who internalize sexism? The ones who do that? The ones who were trained to wear their scars like badges of honor? Can you imagine what his personality would do in those spaces? So often these abusers run to these churches to habilitate their image, and y'all let them bamboozle you time and time again. No process of atonement has even happened. No healing for the victims. No accountability has even been made. No real change. No fake remorse until there was video evidence to prove it. Nothing. And yet these churchy motherfuckers are already ready to let the monsters roam, and they do. And nothing is more terrifying than a monster who believes that he has Sky Daddy's authority to torture you. Okay? Nothing is more terrifying than a monster who believes that he has Sky Daddy's authority to torture you. I'm telling you, there are plenty walking around there just like that. And I love what this person said here on Twitter. One thing about a lot of Black Christians, you can be an abuser of any kind, but Sky Daddy forgives. Let you be gay, girl. You going straight to hell. It's just... Like, it's unserious. So the fact, open arms to these abusers every single time, because Sky Daddy forgives, he forgives. And it's just like, we got to use our eyes. We have to use our eyes. It's okay. And people try to use extreme cases like this, when I make arguments like this to say, oh, well, you're talking like you think atonement is impossible. You think, any kind of atonement or restorative whatever is impossible. It's no, like, girl, y'all always use these extreme examples when like when somebody whip out the Death Star and blow up a goddamn planet, y'all say, oh, but what about forgiveness? Y'all immediately talking, bitch, I mean, his head's still rolling, the planet is still in shambles, bitch, and y'all talk about forgiving, you're forgiving. It's just like, girl, y'all can't be, y'all be using the most extreme examples, bitch. You know what I mean? Somebody drop a nuke on somebody. Well, why don't you forgive genocide? Why don't you forgive? Girl, what are y'all talking about? What are you talking about? Y'all be taking like these extreme examples and trying to compare it to like everyday conflicts and you know what I mean, disagreements and arguments and forgiveness and atonement and shit like that. No, bitch, we are talking about a serial abuser here, and it's okay if we use our eyes and make sound judgment based on that information. Like, girl, get on my face. All right, so I will read what Cassie's lawyer said about Diddy's pathetic video. Combs' most recent statement is more about himself than the many people he has hurt. When Cassie and multiple other women came forward, he denied everything and suggested that his victims were looking for a payday, that he was only compelled to apologize once his repeated denials were proven false, shows his pathetic desperation, and no one will be swayed by his disingenuous words, you got ate up. You got ate up. They ate that up. No one believes you. Okay? At this point, we just focusing on making sure we get all the evidence. They digging up your shit right now. Like they rating your stuff. Like that's what they need to be focused on right now. So I will finish off by reading this statement from the LA County District Attorney's Office. They said, "We are aware of the video that has been circulating online allegedly depicting Sean Combs assaulting a young woman in LA. We find the images extremely disturbing and difficult to watch. If the conduct depicted occurred in 2016, unfortunately, we would be unable to charge as the conduct would have occurred beyond the timeline where a crime of assault can be prosecuted. As of today, law enforcement has not presented a case related to the attack depicted in the video against Mr. Combs, but we encourage anyone who has been a victim or witness to a crime to report it to law enforcement, blah, 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 blah." So they said it happened too far back, so they can't like charge or anything. But keep in mind, this incident was referenced by the Cassie case that she brought that was already settled, that Diddy already paid to settle. So, you know, they said they can't open up a case like specific to this video, even though, like I just said, it was referenced before in the previous in her case. So, I mean, child, every time I just go look stuff up because I'm just like, you don't ever know what can be used in evidence in these cases, how far back they can go, how far back they can't go. You know, so I just be looking stuff up because the legal system is just a bunch of mess to me. A mess rules that don't be making sense half the time. So, but yeah, that's what they said about the video. Either way, I just cannot believe, well, I guess I can, that he really sat down, opened up that phone and said, "You know what? I had a really tough time." Like, girl, yes, so did your victims, girl. You get out my face. Get out my face. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. Thank y'all so much for watching. Love you so much, and make sure that you have a good goddamn evening.
It's a shakedown when a nigga come to town. Single show you all these bitches gonna drown. And all these pussies get so nervous cause they let me out the pound. It's a shakedown.